Good morning, Bitcoiners. I have Sergio here. I'm super excited to have him. He is an Army veteran and a graduate of Florida International University. He was born in El Salvador, but he and his family fled to the United States during the Civil War in 1981. The Civil War kicked off in 1980. A lot of really hard times that he's going to tell us about. We have some pictures. He's been living in the United States since then and has visited El Salvador whenever he could afterwards. That was only very intermittently during the challenging times in El Salvador, but more recently, he's been going several times a year. So he can tell us firsthand how his country has been changing drastically over the years, what he's seen change, what life is like now under President Bukele, and with the new administration, El Salvador is stable and growing. I was there last month. I can see it firsthand. Now, having been to El Salvador, I've found it very safe. But it wasn't always like that, and Sergio can speak to that. Sergio has a big heart and can be found online. He's got a merch shop for Bitcoin caps, and you can go to bitcoincaps.net, see his merch there. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Sergio, his stories about El Salvador's history, the lessons that America and other countries can learn from El Salvador's story, and the hope that we have in the future there. As he says, what we do in life echoes in eternity. So, Sergio, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very excited to do this podcast for the reasons that we spoke about in the last 2 days. There's a lot of things that a lot of Salvadorians and even Americans don't know about El Salvador, or maybe the people like myself, you know what I mean, that immigrated over there when we were young. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we can cover some of that today.
We've got Ahmad is listening in here. You met him. I met him down in El Salvador. He spent some time with you. Welcome. OG Bring Facts is on here.
He's awesome.
Let's start with your earliest memory growing up. What do you remember as a child? Maybe this was before conflict, but what do you remember? Was it peaceful, or do you remember things starting? What's your earliest memory?
Yeah, it was peaceful. There was a lot of poverty in the country. Mm-hmm. That was, you couldn't avoid that, just walking on the streets or just seeing people, begging on the side of the streets. But overall, we were happy. We were happy living there. It was tough. You could just tell, the overall, atmosphere there, you know what I mean? But as far as me, my family, we would always get together. We were happy. I grew up in a small town, El Salvador. I was there for about 5 years, and then we moved to San Salvador, where they were building a brand new house for us, and we were in La Sacamil. We lived there in the apartments there, and then eventually, once the house was ready, we went to Mexicanos, and that's where we lived there until we immigrated here to Miami.
Awesome. I'm going to throw up some pictures. You sent me a bunch of pictures. And so as I throw these up, if you want to speak to these or fill in stories about this early life, is this you?
Yeah. that's me. That's GP right there.
What is GP?
It's Big Bread.
Big Bread.
Yeah. So I think it was a character,
Grande Pandalaria man.
Grand Pan, you know what I mean?
Grand Pan.
Yeah.
You've got a paddle.
So when I was younger, I had blonde hair. I had dirty blonde hair. As you can see there, when I was very light. So, my mom used to use me as a toy, you know what I mean? And dress me up like that, you know what I mean?
That's cute.
Yeah, so.
And this is your grandparents or family?
The one on the left is my grandma. She's my mom's mom. And the one on the right is my grandfather's sister, which I regard her as my grandma too. They took care of me for the first 5 years of my life. And as you can see there, you see the dirty blonde hair there?
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me right there.
Oh, wow.
I look a little bit like Chimbera's kid, but he has more blonde hair.
You got sunshine. And then walking to church or where? What? Tell me.
That's the day of my baptism.
Oh,
So if you can see, I'm getting baptized that day, and that's what you call it in the town that I live. As you can see, it's a very small town.
uh-huh.
The roads weren't they didn't even have cement yet. It was just made out of rocks, But we were happy, We were happy.
Sure.
Everything was great. You know what I mean?
So early memories were normal. I mean, just sort of, you didn't know any better, but I mean, life was good.
Yeah, life was good. Exactly. Yeah,
This
there
is
you
you a
go.
little older.
Yeah, I must have been like either 6 years old or 7 years old there. This was during a Christmas. Uh, Education is very, very on top of the list in El Salvador. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Everything's based around school for the most part. All the kids wear uniforms, which I'm a very high proponent to people wear uniforms, and that's me during December. They were giving out gifts and awards.
I think it's good for kids to feel that sense of pride and purpose, and that you're fitting into school. Nowadays, schools are kind of different. We will get to the Archbishop here later, but so you came to the States. Okay, so tell me about what are your earliest memories of problems occurring, the beginning of the Civil War? Tell me about some of that background.
So, as I explained to you a couple of days ago, is that I saw the Civil War develop. Even
Uh-huh.
though I was a kid, I was very observant. You hear adults talking, you see the news, you see the newspapers, and you see what's going on because it's developing in front of you. You know what I mean? There's people dying on the side of the streets. There's a lot of propaganda on the walls. There's propaganda on people killed. Like with a spear, in their chest, and they have this big sign, and with propaganda on it, no head and stuff like that.
So you saw some of that gruesome violence.
Yes, yes, and as the years, I would say like I started seeing this like in 1977 around there, when I was able to notice more, you know what I mean, because I was older, and just tensions were rising. Like I said, there was a lot of poverty, and there was a lot of killings.
Was it mainly the government fighting against guerrillas, fighters that were disagreeing politically? Do you understand the nature of the politics there, or what that was about?
Well, it's something that was coming for a long time, for since the 1930s, because there was a lot of dictators. The military ran the country. There was no freedom of speech. The country literally, technically, well, no, literally started from the border of Guatemala, and it ended in San Miguel. So
Okay.
so the people from San Miguel all the way to the east, the government didn't take care of them. They didn't even care about them. I mean, we always said that, El Salvador starts, from where Guatemala starts, and it ended where San Miguel, ended right there. And so the people from La Union in that area, they were very, very poor, super poor.
Uh-huh.
And also, what you got to understand too is that the land, the overall land of El Salvador, it was disproportionate. So there was about 14 families that owned most of the land. So you have people that were farmers and stuff like that. They didn't have any land to live off of it. You know what I mean? So so the only people that were making money were those families, the government, and that's why there was a spread poverty all over the country. But particularly in La Union, in that area, the whole area there, it was very, very, very poor, and that's where the guerrillas started preparing themselves. You know what I mean? Organizing, and that's where they recruited a vast amount of people, because people didn't have no other choice but to join the guerrillas.
Right. Yeah. If you were a young man, you were getting pulled in one direction or the other, perhaps, even as maybe you had family, should be going to school, but you may be very poor, and
Correct.
meanwhile there's a unrest or revolution going on, and they're recruiting, or they're looking for fighters, and so it was hard as maybe a child to avoid that. But you were still pretty young during that time. Now, a lot of this, it culminates in what happened with Archbishop Oscar Romero, right? I'm going to bring up a picture of him here. Oscar Romero, Archbishop, he came in. He was a real peacemaker and a uniter, and a lot of people just adored him.
Yes.
Now, you showed me a picture, Bukele sending in front of a portrait of that exact picture. This picture of him is very well known and is now. Where is this again?
And that's in La Casa Presidencial, which is the presidential palace.
Mm-hmm.
It's the White House.
Yeah. So now you'd say, why is a portrait of this guy here so prominent? Well, this was a huge symbol of uniting the people, caring for the people, and wanting peace. And what happened was that he was assassinated, right? That really kicked off a lot of unrest and violence. This is his funeral.
Correct. Yeah, he was assassinated in December of 1980 while giving mass, and he was the people's voice. He every time he had mass, the square would get like that. It was like just mass people. You know what I mean? And he was the only hope, because he was telling the government, look, can you split up the land and give a little bit of piece of land to these farmers or whatever, to these people, so they can at least grow food and they can provide for themselves, but the government wasn't having it. So he was killed in December, and this is his funeral mass. And as you can see here, I mean, a lot of people have been there already to Centro Histórico, and I always like to talk about Centro Histórico whenever I go there, and I'm with my friends, whether they're American or Salvadorians, and I tell them, look, I mean, like, this to me, I have like some PTSD every time I go there.
Oh yeah,
because what I remember this. I mean, I wasn't there, but you see the news and you see the newspapers the next day. But as Salvadorians, we all felt it. We felt when Monsignor was killed, and we felt when this happened. So what happened here? I mean, we were listening to it live on TV. I mean, on the radio, because back in the days, it was radio. Remember?
Uh-huh.
So on the radio, there was radio broadcasting, and then you're listening to the mass and just the people, and then all of a sudden, they start saying, "Oh my God, they're shooting from the top of the palace over there." So what happened was that the government sent some snipers. If you want to put the other picture, the big one.
Yeah. Do you want me to show the picture when the violence started?
No, it was a previous picture.
That one?
Yeah. So if you look on top of the palace, yeah, right there, that's where the snipers came in.
There were military snipers up there.
Up there, yeah, exactly. And they shot a couple of rounds and they shot a couple of bombs, but they wanted just the crowd to disperse, and just to let them know that who was the boss. You know what I mean?
So they didn't like the fact that there was such a populist movement happening around the Archbishop, and they wanted respect for the government instead, perhaps, or
yes,
at least order.
Yeah. They were quieting the people, and it wasn't just they weren't just killing priests. They were killing students. They were killing labor unions, leaders. They were killing also college professors. And that was the reason why we came to El Salvador, because my dad got, on a couple occasions, they followed him. They wanted to kill him. Because they thought that, he was part of the guerrillas or whatever. And all revolutions come out of colleges, for the most part, So they were killing a lot of students, a lot of college professors. My dad was a college professor. And then that's the main reason why we left El Salvador, because, we just felt that any time he was going to get killed.
That is very scary. And or just you want to, you speak your mind or you're accused of having an opinion that was, say, against the government or whoever's in charge, and you're at risk, or who knows, you're just caught in the crossfire. So what happened was the shooting started. Snipers started firing. However, that was intended. However, it ended up, it created a just a mass. People tried to flee the plaza en masse, and just got crushed. And some people shot. So
Yeah,
these are pictures from the ground at the scene. People were fleeing the scene, right?
yeah, yeah. Look at all the shoes on the ground.
Yeah, people lost their shoes. Your uncle lost. He was there and escaped and lost his shoes. Is his story, right?
Luckily, he was in the outskirts of the crowd, so he was able to escape.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
so there's a famous picture the following day of this huge mountain of shoes because everybody lost their shoes there, if you can see there. But it was very iconic because you looked at it, you're like, wow, you know what I mean? That's crazy that happened there. So my uncle ended up when he got home, he didn't have any shoes. So what
Yeah.
happened? So what happened as the soldiers were shooting, you had guerrilla factions on the right side shooting back at the military. So that created more mayhem, you know. So
Yeah.
as you can see that he's a guerrilla right there.
So he was fighting. So there's snipers on the up on the roof, and they fought back and forth. Now this led to now there was that. So I think about 50 people died, um, variously crushed or hurt, shot,
Right.
and about 50 people died, and that sort of kicked off a whole bunch of ongoing unrest.
Hmm.
Uh, there was a massacre later. There was a El Mozote. There was another massacre where the army went into a small village, El Mozote, and killed civilians as well. Do you know anything about that at all?
Yes, yes. It's a famous mass killing that happened in Mosote, and that's in that area that I'm telling you about. It's in the east side of El Salvador, Morazan, that area. So that's the area where they were organizing, and the guerrillas were recruiting from that area, which is Morazan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but these killings were happening frequently. It wasn't just this. They were called uh, the I can't remember, but they were just basically these elite soldiers going and kidnapping people, killing them. They would disappear, um, and that's what happened here.
If you want a scary read, you can look up the El Mozote massacre on anywhere, but this
Right.
is happens to be Wikipedia. It's horrible. 811 of people killed. Um, grotesque stuff.
And I think it was just a handful of people that survived and that were able to tell the story too. And
Yeah.
something that President Bukele did as on his first term was that he made sure that he invested a lot of money in here and redid like the whole town square and stuff like that. And he went over there to talk to the people. But it was interesting what he said. He said, I'm not coming here to to say forgiveness. You know what I mean? To say that we're sorry because I didn't do anything. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It was other people that did it. What I'm here to do is what I'm here for is to let you know that that's over and there's a new beginning, and I'm going to invest all this money into you guys. You know what I mean? So he's beautified the whole city there. I mean, President Bukele is just a special guy, man.
Yeah, it's hard to describe it. So here's the thing: is that in what I see in American politics, and on what you might say liberals, leftists, or whatever, it's easy to judge El Salvador or see Bukele as like, oh, a strong man, a dictator, or whatever. The thing is, it took someone amazing like Bukele to apply hard law and order and justice and fight back and beat the cartel gangs that emerged past after the Civil War. and bring that country back. And I mean, and he's doing so many positive things as well. But it's like, who else could have done that? It could still be fighting today if someone strong didn't come in and protect the people and fight the gangs, basically.
You know, you'll often hear President Bukele say that basically what he did is listen to the people. He did what the people asked him to do. And what he means by that is that we always knew what needed to be done. And what I mean by this, since the 1990s, whether we got together at a family dinner, at a family event, or with friends in El Salvador or whatever, or Salvadorians would come to the United States to visit us, we would all say the same thing. The government needs to get the military, along with the police officer, start from the left side of the country and just sweep the country, you know, and jail all these people. I mean, like, talk to any Salvadorian and they'll tell you the same thing. We would always say it. We would always say it. Not to take nothing away from President Bukele, but he's the one that did it.
He did what the people wanted.
And that's why when he tells you, I'm only doing what the Salvadoran people asked me to do. And that's what we asked him to do. Exactly. He did exactly what we've been saying for like the last 20 years. Grab the military, grab the police, and sweep these guys, because these guys were a bunch of little punks, you know, and they weren't organized like the Mexicans. They didn't have like all the sophisticated weapons and stuff like that. It was just easy, you know what I mean? I mean, the ones that were doing the killings were kids under 15 years old, because they couldn't be arrested as they couldn't be tried as adults, and that's something that a law that came from the Democrats. You know, you know, the United States has always been imposing, you know, their muscle against Central American countries and Latin American countries. We know all that or whatever, but you know, the government couldn't do anything because they couldn't try a kid that was 13 years old that had murdered somebody, you know, as an adult. So they just had to let him go for like a year, 2 years, or whatever. So it was a cancer that wasn't going to stop. That wasn't stopping, you know what I mean? But all it took is just someone to have guts to not negotiate with criminals, because you never negotiate with criminals, you know. And I think Bukele came at the right time, because people were just, I mean, I totally lost any confidence in El Salvador. I'm like, it wasn't changing. I'm like, you know, look, it's 2018 and there's still gangs here. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, like, you know, you still have this problem, and
juxtaposing what a kid faced back then in El Salvador with what the hope and future is now. The El Salvador office was posting a handful of these pictures that was comparing life back then with life now. And now, so it was during this time your family fled. This is your family's boarding a Pan Am flight to get to the States right here, right?
Yeah. So my mom is the one all the way in the right with the gray bag. And my two sisters are right in the bottom. You see them with the yellow shirt and the white shirt. And that's me in the middle.
Right there?
No, in the blue.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
There's Sergio and some of your brothers, sisters, cousins.
All cousins. Yeah, my grandma. That's my mom's. No, my dad's mom is the one on the red there on the right. Yeah, that's her right there. Yeah, my dad wasn't there. My dad left later, like a couple of weeks later, but it was just me, my mom, and my two sisters that left. And this is 1981, and I always like to say is this is when you can smoke cigarettes inside of the plane.
Yeah, things were different. You could just walk right up to the terminal, and I mean,
this thing that you ever see, man. Someone right up inside the plane.
I can only imagine.
The plane, you know, and so you know, and the reason why we were able to get out so quick is because 2 years before this, we had gone to visit my aunt. She lived in Miami, so everything was set up for us to leave quickly. You know what I mean? Because we went to visit her 2 years before. We did the Orlando thing, Disney World, whatever. And,
Uh-huh.
and then, we came back, and this was like 1978. And then, we came back and things were still the same. But we just gone there for 2 weeks. But my point is that we had the passports already ready to go. You know what I mean? So it was easier for us to get out. All we had to do was get the visas and then leave. And we were able to get the visas for my parents. The U.S. government knew that, they were going to take us to, that we're going to escape. So they just gave the visas to my parents. And it took my mom like an extra 6 months just through connections or whatever, to get our visas. And then we were able just to leave to Miami. So as I told you, we haven't really suffered or that much, you know what I mean? But with we had to leave our family. My parents, had to come in and build a brand new life. But we haven't really suffered like some of the people, you know what I mean, that they had to get up and go and make the trek to, through Mexico, whatever, here or whatever. My aunt was here waiting for us, you know what I mean? And, we did everything the right way because as soon as we got here, my dad knew that he had to start working on the papers, you know what I mean, on immigration papers. And luckily we found a couple, white couple. That's why when they attack white people, you know what I mean, I get really pissed and I start defending you guys because out of all the people that when we came to the United States, aside from my aunt, obviously, the only people that helped us were white people. It wasn't like the other Hispanics or blacks or whatever. It was just other white people that helped us. You know what I mean? That
once you got to the States,
yeah. Once we got to the States, and it was a white couple that helped my dad do the. We applied for political asylum. And they helped them do and they weren't lawyers, you know what I mean? They not downloaded. I mean, they got the application through immigration, and I think they were notaries. And by God's grace, we in 3 years we had our residency.
That's amazing. And so many of those people that help are through a faith organization or just a compassion and humanitarian.
Just normal people.
Really?
Yeah, normal people that want to help out. And I've always said this. I said, if you're like in the United States or Canada, and the locals see you that you're trying and that you're assimilating to the culture, that they're going to give you an extra hand. You know what I mean? I try to tell that to people, but sometimes people don't want to listen. You know what I mean?
People help people, and
people, yeah. You know what I mean? And look, there's nothing more beautiful that when I see a gringo walking around in El Salvador with a Salvadorian shirt or a Salvadorian cap, you know what I mean? That makes me feel good. You don't think that an American here wants to see, a brown guy, wearing, I love USA, and that's another problem that I had too, because I assimilated really quick to American culture, which, didn't sit well, with some of my friends, in school, that were Honduran, Mexican, Cuban, or whatever, because they were saying that I was trying to be gringo or whatever. It's like, no, I just want to fit in, and I don't want to do all the stupid stuff you guys are doing, fighting and shit like that. I just want to be normal, like the white kids, the white kids are having fun, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm getting invited to their house, the mom's cooking me burgers or whatever. You guys out here causing, stealing and fighting with each other or fight. I'm like, man, I'm not used to this because I went to private school in El Salvador.
You were a good kid.
I went to private school in El Salvador, Catholic private school. And, when I tell people when I came to the United States, I went to public school. I mean, I literally got thrown into the jungle. I mean, I was just like, kids were like screaming at the teachers. And I was like, kids fighting with each other. And it was just like, I was like, wow, man.
Just getting to the States wasn't like, oh, we made it, everything's good. It was you actually came from some stability in your family life to America, where actually schools and other things were different, wild. There were gangs themselves there.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 Exactly. And that's what I was telling you is that everybody knows my parents' story because it's like the story of many people. They had to leave everything behind, their careers,
Uh-huh.
to come over here. They sacrificed everything, but hardly anybody knows my story. The story of the kids that got there when they were young, or even the old, when they're 15, 16, or whatever, or even kids that were born in the United States. We had our trials, we had our sacrifices. Like I said, trying to fit in, the people, wanting to be like the rest of the kids, wanting to be American, not seeing anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? And that's why I could never really relate to the Spanish kids, because my parents would tell me, listen, you won the lottery, right? I was
Yeah,
like,
you survived.
hey,
And
you know what I mean? It's like at that time in 1981, uh, there were no Salvadorians getting on a plane coming to the United States. The only ones that would come is like people with money. I mean, I remember coming, on the plane. There must have been like a handful of Salvadorians, maybe like 10, 15 Salvadorians. And then the rest were Americans, people that were doing business in El Salvador. But there wasn't like any Salvadorians. And at that time, there wasn't Salvadorians that have family in the United States. You know
hmm,
what I mean? And there wasn't anybody sending money to El Salvador. So think about how the poverty back then. But to my point is that in 1981, I'm here on a plane going to Miami, out of all places, Miami. Miami,
wow.
a beautiful place. And then they're telling me, it's like, listen, you didn't come here to mess around. You came here to study.
Uh,
That and so that ingrained in my head. You know what I mean? That I had to always push forward, be different, not be with the crowd. It doesn't mean that I was a good guy or whatever. I had my
you're a
fault.
kid. Yeah.
I was a kid. You know what I mean? So, and there was problems at home too. So I ended up doing things that I shouldn't have done or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. All the
Well,
things
you slipped.
it slips.
Now
Okay. So
you had to learn English, but you had a good work ethic. You had good values. Your family supported all that. Now that brings us to you got through high school. What made you decide to join the army? Right, you joined the army.
I joined the army because a couple of things. You know what I mean? First of all, I was grateful for the United States. And second of all, I felt that I needed some discipline and structure in my life. So, and things weren't really going well at home and the place in Miami where I lived. So, I wanted to get out of there. So, uh, and going in the army was another lottery hit, if you should say. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the Americans love someone who's assimilating to their culture,
Sure.
who's defending the country. After you get out, you get first dibs on everything. Your resume goes on top of everybody's resume. The universities automatically, if you have the grades, they accept you. If you want to become a firefighter or a cop, it's really easy for you to become a cop as a veteran, and
Uh-huh.
just all the added benefits that come along with it. You know what I mean? And then the experience
Yeah, you learn a lot.
it's priceless. You know what I mean? All the friends I made, all the partying I did. You know what I mean? So those were my college days, I guess.
Yeah, and it really galvanizes like being an American. Like
Yes.
you're truly an American. You did your time. Did you do like a 4 year stint, or what was that about? How
It,
long
it
did you
was
do?
it was supposed to be a 2+2,
Two plus
two,
two.
two, two active and two in the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was two and a half, two and a half, two and a half. After I did the 2.5 active, I went to the reserve unit, but I couldn't deal with the whole. You come from a discipline, you know what I mean, strict um, place to like. I mean, they're just. I mean, they're it's like I don't know, they're having fun there. It's like a vacation there. I was like, man, I'm either in or out, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm out, and then you got to be there once a week in a month. And then the other time you're a civilian and you're like, I don't want to go this weekend.
Right. Your life kind of starts to move on.
Yeah. And then I just stopped going and
yeah,
nothing happened, you know what I mean? So I was in 2.5 years. I was able to, I guess, check out the country because I had a chance to go to Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
I did see Fort Knox on top of there, you know what I mean, the gold or whatever, and the building passed through all the time,
Yeah.
And San Antonio, and that's why I tell people, I became 1% Texan there, you know what I mean. I just remember we used to make fun about Texas and the Cowboys, you know what I mean.
The big hats, yeah,
the boots and the hats,
yeah.
But when you live there, man, it just grows on you.
Sure. Yeah, I went a couple of years ago. I went and visited the Alamo, and I haven't visited Texas a lot, but there was something about going to the Alamo that, at one level, I went going like, I've read some of the history, like I get it,
Right.
But when I was there, it felt like hollowed ground, and the Texas Rangers were patrolling, and I mean, just the respect. It really hit me like, wow, this is some real important history, and it made me feel proud of America too. So,
well, I mean, my funny story about the Alamo is that I always thought that Alamo was in the middle of nowhere, like Pee Wee Herman. Remember Pee Wee Herman, the movie?
Long ago, it was kind of just out there.
No, but it was the Pee Wee Herman movie. So he goes to the Alamo, and
Alamo, yeah, right.
in the middle of nowhere. And then I was like, oh, we're going to the Alamo. Okay. It's like, it's by the Riverwalk. By the Riverwalk. I was like, really? Okay. All right. And we get there. It's like, it's in the middle of like the city. You know what I mean? I was like,
it is.
Cool. And then I said, man, that Pee Wee Herman is a lying sack of shit. Like what he said about John Denver. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Dumb and Dumber or whatever.
Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. Yeah. The stars at night are deep and bright.
No, but I just remember seeing the Alamo on movies, but I didn't really know the really like the history because there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there, and it was and if you read about it and study about it, it's America. It's that grit, American grit that they were able to hold on as long as they did.
Yeah, it's special ground. It's a special story. When did you next go back to visit El Salvador? Were you worried about going back? Because it was not, when you went back to visit again, it wasn't stable yet. I mean,
right. So since we got our residency, my dad was able to go back. I think it was the first time he went back, 1986, 1987, around there. But I just never made it a point. I didn't have the time. I was going to high school. So I did make it a mission to go to El Salvador when I got out of the army, which was 1994. But 1994 is the first time that I went back.
Okay.
But at that time, the war was over, and the rumor was going around about gangs.
Mm-hmm.
That they were deporting gangs that were coming back. And then you would see, on the news, you know what I mean, some gangs there, you know what I mean, walking around or whatever. They were interviewing them or what have you. So 94 around there, that's when they started deporting a lot of the gangs, and that's when they started recruiting in El Salvador.
Because out of the Civil War, I mean, there was a lot of fighting during the Civil War, even when, yes, there's a new government, but both the government and gangs were recruiting kids still to fight, even at a young age. I mean, 12, 13 years old, putting a gun in their hands, telling them you're part of our gang now. And right. So you told me an interesting story about these kids who at a young age, they had seen a lot of horrible violence, had participated in violence, and then came out of that pretty, I don't want to, it just basically rough, tough, mean, angry, trauma. And they were just natural. Now, some of those kids made the gangs. You even mentioned MS-13 right down there. Some of that was kids that came out of all that fighting.
Right. What a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about the creation of the MS-13 is, yes, it's Salvadorians that fled El Salvador, that went to Los Angeles, to the ghettos there, and the Mexican gangs, which are, Mexicans are very tribal, they're very territorial. They didn't like the Salvadorians, so they started beating them up and killing them and what have you. But what people don't talk about is that these kids that migrated to the United States, to Los Angeles, were kids that were recruited when they were 12, 13 years old by the guerrillas or the military. So you have a kid that was recruited at age 13. He fought for 5 years. He's 18. Some way, somehow, he didn't get killed. And it's like, hey, man, thank you, but no thank you. I'm out of here. You know what I mean? So he makes the trek to Los Angeles and gets over there. Second of all, the other kids that started the MS-13 were the kids that went through the war. Yeah, they were military or guerrillas, but these are kids that you're walking around, you're seeing beheading people, you're seeing blood everywhere. You know what I mean? So to them, that's normal. So when they get over there and they organize, they create the MS-13. That's why they said we're going to be the most violent gang. Why? Because we lived through it already. We think that's normal. You know what I mean? And that's why they cut up people. They use machetes. That's their choice of a weapon. It's a machete to chop up people. You know what I mean? But they a lot of people, a lot of politicians don't talk about that. That it was these gang members. It was the perfect storm. For them to start a gang. And basically all they did was take a playbook out of the Mexican gangs. You know what I mean? Because it mimics what the Mexican gangs do. You know what I mean? They're just more violent and they kill more people than Mexican gangs.
Yeah, they knew how to use violence to maintain control and create the gang, grow the gang, and seize territory or have their territory. So I didn't realize MS-13, some of those roots came straight out of El Salvador.
Well, I mean, it's a Salvadorian gang, but it didn't come from El Salvador. It was created in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, right. We've never had gangs in El Salvador. Salvadorian people, as you met them, we're very calm. You know what I mean? We like a good party. We like to have fun. We like food, but we're not really violent people. You know what I mean? The war is what made us violent. Not us, but like these kids that were in the gangs. But
yeah, here's another one. Yeah, there's a kid on the left, the tattoos, all that.
Yeah, that's a kid. Now that's a kid recruited in El Salvador. They were, and then it became generational. If you look at some of these gang members that they're arresting, they're like 70 years old, 60 years old.
So being El Salvadoran, knowing Spanish, when you went to visit back, you could kind of integrate and fit in and not stand out, but you had to keep your head down and be careful. Did you feel all that fear?
So, since I assimilated quickly to the American life, yeah, I spoke Spanish in at home or whatever, but I knew that if I wanted to make it into the United States, I had to speak perfect English with no accent or anything like that. And it's not about racism or none of that BS or whatever. It's just, if you want to be a professional, if you want to make it in the United States, you got to talk. You got to talk normal. I mean, look at Obama. So Obama doesn't talk, like ghetto or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not good, but I don't like Obama. So. But
sure.
So when I would go back, I had to be careful. If they heard you talk English in El Salvador around that time, like in the 90s, they would kind of ridicule you. Oh, look, trying to be gringo. You can't speak Spanish. You know what I mean? How dare you? You know what I mean? Lose your roots or whatever. And so you're like, man, I'm sorry. I just did what my parents told me to do: study and learn English quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
You
Yeah.
know, and so and then also too, the Spanish too, they can pick it up. You know what I mean? Because especially living in Miami, you have Cubans, you have Puerto Ricans, you have Dominicans, you have Venezuelans everywhere. So last time, my good friend, he's a congressman in El Salvador, Congressman Guevara, told me, him and his wife told me, you talk like a reporter from the news or whatever. Because I try to speak my Spanish perfect, and it doesn't, no accent comes out of it. You know what I mean? Because I live here in Miami.
Uh-huh.
So that's my Spanish. So so on the flip side, since they used to make fun about us, now they want to learn English. They want to talk English that I know. They want to they want to they want to know the English that I write. Because why? Because they're able to make more money doing that.
Yeah, when I visited this year, a lot of people were learning English or wanted to learn English, and going to the plaza nowadays, it's such a different world where when you go there now and you remember old trauma, it seems surreal where there's tourists and it's cool and happening. In fact, I got my little my El Salvador Bitcoin passport there, and they've got the Plaza Barrios on a page in there, and it's a tourist destination. It's beautiful, and you go there, and it's beautiful to see, but you have these old memories of scary times, and so it just seems surreal, I imagine.
It's surreal, and it's beyond surreal because every time I go there, there's always something going on. You know what I mean? Like you have a band out there, or they're always doing putting different lights or whatever, different ornaments. How many cities do you know that does that? You know what I mean? The United States, it's very few. You know what I mean? In their in downtown or whatever. But like El Salvador, every time once they had a boxing ring there. You know what I mean? They have boxing, live boxing, in the middle of the square there, when we had Centro Histórico, you had the top brass of Steak and Shake, doing fries and giving out to the people. So I'm like, look at Christmas. You saw the Christmas. I was like, my God. I mean, they're always doing something. It's not just about going there and you go to the shops or whatever, and and take pictures or whatever. But there's always something going on. Also, too, Centro Histórico. I give it up to Max and Stacy. They gave out 21,000 pupusas in one day. 21,000 pupusas. They started at 8:30. They were supposed to start at 10, but I think they started a little bit early because they had to. They started at 8:30. And there's just huge lines. I stayed right in the hotel. It's called Carter, right in the front, and I'm looking. It's like, oh my God, and they have all these grills just going on. The ladies there are going like that, and then huge lines for me, and it goes all the way up to I would say like it ended like around 9:30 around there, 9:30 at night. Which at 9:30 at night there wasn't really that many people in line anymore. You know what I mean? But it's funny. I was telling my friends, hey man, I know my people. So I know some Salvadorians ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner there.
Yeah, all day. And you got to meet Max and Stacy here. And you made your Bukele hats there.
So this was in 2022. I was a fan of Max and Stacy through the Kaiser Report in 2009. And here, my friend got me dinner with them. Hey, let's have dinner with them. I was like, shit, cool. And then, so after dinner, I go, Max, Stacy, this is something very spiritual here. You know what I mean? It's like you're here, I'm in El Salvador. I want to buy 1 Bitcoin with you guys. Let's go.
All right.
And then Stacy, Bitcoin at that time was, I think, 22,000. And she's like, no, only half a Bitcoin. I was like, no, man. I said, why? We're here. Here. Let me buy 1 Bitcoin in El Salvador. You know,
awesome.
and, after President Bukele had made it a legal tender, so they only made me buy half a Bitcoin or whatever.
Let's just start with half a Bitcoin.
Yeah, because I know why. I mean, they were afraid maybe it goes down, and then I start blaming them. But I'm not like that. But I was like, but independent of that, I was just grateful to have met them that time and buy Bitcoin with them. It was one of my first purchases in El Salvador with Max and Stacy. So it doesn't get better than that. And the rest is history with them. I mean, they've just been very, very good with me. You know what I mean? I create most of Max's hats. So I do his hats. You know what I mean? And
yeah. Real quick, I'll bring up your website here, bitcoincaps.net. You've got a lot of different styles and stuff for people here. So which also brings me to one moment. Okay, there's you in El Salvador and getting politically active.
This was in 2011. 2011. Remember, this was what was that Wall Street?
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street, right? So this is on a Sunday night, Sunday afternoon. My friends call me. He's like, dude, we got to go out there. You know what I mean? We're always talking about, ending the Fed. I was like, well, let's go. So we go there, right? And then we meet this guy with this sign, this Ron Paul sign, and he's just running all over the place. And Ron Paul, and then we managed to stop him and take a picture. And lo and behold, look who it is. That's Mike Ruiz.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know Mike?
No, but I heard of him. Yeah.
So that's Mike Ruiz. This is my first time meeting him there.
Huh.
So I meet him, and then forward till now, he goes to El Salvador, and then I see him, and it's like, who's this guy, man? Mike Ruiz. He's from Miami, whatever. It's like I've never seen him in Miami. And then we just managed to touch base, you know what I mean? And we're talking, and then I'm telling him, yeah, you know what I mean? I was part of the Ron Paul. We did the Ron Paul thing campaign. We were trying to get him elected. We were a little bit naive.
Sure. Well, it was a good movement.
The mafia's way too big, you know what I mean? But it was a great time. So and then he's like, Ron Paul. And he's like, hey, wait a second. Hold on. Let me send you a picture. He sends me a picture. Is that you? I was like, oh my God, yeah, that's me. That's me. I was like, oh my God, that's you. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? So it's, look how small the world is, you know what I mean? So and Mike is doing a lot of good things over there in El Salvador, and he also has a Salvadorian fiance. So
Oh, nice! Wow.
Yeah.
And which brings me to Bukele's campaign. Now, tell me about this picture.
This is his State of the Nation speech, and this is I believe 2023. 2023, and I wore my hat on purpose there. You know what I mean? So maybe I can get his attention. You know what I mean? Which I did. I think it was because he retweeted something, and I was back there. You know what I mean? So very special moment there. Being in Congress and seeing the whole ceremony, you know what I mean, when he comes to speech to the nation. It happens every June, is the 1st of June.
Yeah.
This is here in Miami at a Hurricanes game, Miami Hurricane game, and just representing Bukele.
Yeah, how did you get Bukele to follow you? Because of this, probably, huh?
Well, I mean, he knew of me. Obviously.
Okay.
He knew of me. He knew of me. Obviously, you know what I mean. Looking at social media, I know his lobbyist here in Miami. You know what I mean. I met him, Max and Stacy. But I think what really the reason why because it's very hard for him to follow you, or retweet you. You know what I mean. So
sure.
there was a problem in Congress last year, 2 years ago, I think, 2024. Um, and in my opinion, it should have been dealt internally, but it got out. You know what I mean? And it's just about some funds there, but you're talking about it was just thousands of dollars. It wasn't like millions of dollars or whatever. And you know, and then you know, these supporters of the president and of Congress from you know staunch, also just they turned on not the president but on Congress.
Oh, really?
Calling them thieves and that, and you know, and the gentleman there, he's like the Speaker of the House, and you know, he's good friends with President Bukele. They've known each other for a long time. Now, obviously, President Bukele is going to bring his own people, you know what I mean, to help him lead the country, and they're just like wailing on this guy. And my friend too, Congressman Guevara, which he's the one that wrote the watered down version of the what do you call that that régimen de excepción, you know, to go after the gang members.
Oh, okay.
Right. So he got a lot of flack by the United States, you know that, right? So he got put in the Angles list. They took away his visa.
Oh, wow.
You know, and which he needed because his son, when he was born, his son had cancer, and he was going through treatments at UCLA. And you know, he had to send his son because they took the both visas, his wife and his visa. So sometimes he had to send his kids by themselves. You know what I mean? And they really tore him apart. You know what I mean? Because he was trying to do something good, and they put him in this list that's like it's people that do drugs or whatever, and you know. So anyways,
the watch list.
They're waiting on these people on X or whatever, and I just went to town with all of them. You know, if you see me on X and you know me, you know I don't hold back. I don't hold my tongue. I just went to town. You know, I started defending the whole Congress, particular Ernesto Castro and Guevara, and I think he saw that. You know what I mean? And there was a tweet that I sent out about Guevara because they were just waiting on him because he started blocking a lot of people, and they just started wailing. You know, it was just it was getting outrageous. You know what I mean? And what people don't know about Congressman Guevara is that President Bukele has a lot of respect for him. You know what I mean?
Really?
A lot of respect for him, and it's one of his. Not I wouldn't say favorite. You know, there's some favoritism, but it's one of the guys that he really trusts. It's one of his go-to guys, and he's like he will be considered the whip, you know, the majority whip. He's the manager of Congress.
Okay.
So I would say he's either number 5 or number 6 in the hierarchy of the, you know, President Bukele, the vice president, or whatever. So he's number 5 or number 6 there. So it was a tweet that I told him, I go, you know, I said that the person that put his country before his son, they're attacking him because what happened? He was in Los Angeles when they took away his visa. They were like, "Oh, we need you to come to so you know what I mean? Because we want to talk to you guys." And they said, "Listen, because you signed that law, we're gonna take away your visa, okay?" And you know, and he was like, "What? What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, we both your visas, you know, we want it by tomorrow morning." And he was like, "No." He's like, "Take it right now. I don't want the visa right now." He told him like that. And they were like, "Oh," they weren't expecting that. They were like, whoa, wait a second. No, you got time to think about it. Because they were extortioning him not to pass that law again. You know what I mean? So they were like, "You want your visa? Don't pass that law." You know, and it's basically he told them no.
What do you think? Not to interrupt. I'm sorry. What do you think the motivation was for U.S. government to not want a country to try to control its gangs, or do they see it as being?
I think is the Democrat agenda. You know what I mean? It's the socialist agenda that they want to keep you divided. And you know it's something that's happening here, and it's crazy how like the criminals are being defended,
right?
Being let go. I mean, and sometimes even you know they're like they put them on a pedestal. You putting on a pedestal is someone that raped somebody or that killed somebody, or you're letting them go the same day that this happening. I mean, like that's what they want. That, you know, that's
Yeah.
their agenda. You know, whatever. You
Yeah.
can take it to the rabbit hole, but that's
Oh yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You
Well,
know,
you see, there's people in the United Kingdom that, there's criminals that committed rape and violence and
yeah,
go to jail for a shorter time than the person who goes online and posts about how horrible that is,
right.
because it's hate speech. And the people that are doing hate speech are getting more time than criminals doing crime. Uh, anyway, it's like it's like a maintaining a system where we're fighting with each other and fighting against each other, and that has violence and disruption
Yeah,
versus how about we stabilize the country?
exactly, exactly. So you know, he basically told them to stick the visa there. You know what? And you know, they put him on the Angles list, and also too, you know, he you know, because of that law, it, there's been order in El Salvador, and it saved a lot of lives. So it was a tweet like that, you know what I mean, that I sent like that, and you know, he was very grateful. He's like, man, you know, you're the man. I love you, whatever. And then you know, a couple of hours later, he's like, hey, look who sent me the tweet, and it was the Speaker of the House. He's like, hey, who's this guy? He's like, dude. He's like, man, it's the hat guy. What do you mean, who's the guy? The hat guy, you know, the Sergio. Is like, oh, okay. And,
Is that when you went down there with hats and were giving them to Congress?
yeah? So I got invited by Congresswoman Marilos. She actually sent me a message, and I thought it was fake. I was like, whoa. You know, these messages you get, and I was like, okay, you have 7,000.
Is this real? Yeah.
She's like, oh, how can I get a hat like that? You know, she told me, and then you know, I researched there. I go, no, Congresswoman, I'll give you one for free the next time I go to El Salvador. Like, oh my God, she's like, next time you go to El Salvador, please let me know, and I want to invite you to Congress. It's like, I sure will. And then, you know, as a matter of fact, she's like, I'm going to be there in 2 months. Oh, please tell me when or whatever. And so I had brought some caps that I was going to sell, you know, and then and I was taking just 10 caps to Congress to give to some congressmen that I knew. And I said, you know, I can't do that. I got to give one to like all of President Bukele's party. You know what I mean? All his congressmen.
Everybody.
Yeah, so I went there with a big old luggage full of caps, and I became famous that day.
All right.
And I don't know if I sent you, but you know, in the interim of me being in Congress, President Bukele, because you know all the news networks, whatever, and social media was going crazy, posting, oh, so look at the hat, because he hadn't said that he was going to go for re-election. We were speculating, but we wanted him to. So I was just a little bit going forward, you know what I mean? So in the interim, he tweets, I want a cap. And then
Biddy here says she loves her pink Bitcoin Sergio cap. So it's a Bitcoin pink cap.
Yeah. So my you know, Stacy started tweeting me. She's like, Sergio, look, the president just tweeted. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I became famous. I made a lot of friends that day. Good people there at Congress. They're doing a lot of good things. It's not like before. These people are actually working. You know what I mean? And it's the right news of El Salvador.
And here's your X profile. You can be found at Martes305. You can search for Sergio Bermudez. Here's Bukele's following you.
Yeah, there we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that was epic. This is a brand new caps I made. So I got to send you one. You want this one, or you can pick out whatever you want there from the website.
Go on the website. Ooh, I like that. Oh, I like that black one. Right? Yeah, that's my style. That's awesome.
This is yours then.
Oh, dude, you're awesome. So bitcoincaps.net, if you go there, tell me about this 2.2 million number on the cap.
Well, initially it was remember, it was max that he predicted 220,000 Bitcoin price. I think it was supposed to be by now.
Oh, the economies.
But last year he's like, you know what? I'm doubling down. It's 2.2 million. I was like, all right,
2.2 million.
you know what I mean? So I get the ideas, and I have the machine at home, and I'm able to create it right away. You know what I mean? So that's my boy JB. You guys know
Yep,
JB,
JB.
Broski.
Yep.
You know, I mean, good guy. Hung out with him a lot in El Salvador. Well, that's where we met for the first time. As a matter of fact.
I was gonna say I have maybe a picture of you here.
Right there. There's the crew right there.
Yeah.
So you
there's
got
OG,
Robbie.
Fact.
Yeah.
Shandy.
Yeah. And this is Big Teal.
Big Teal?
No, it's they call him Big Teal, but his name is Anthony. So Anthony's like me. So Anthony, but Anthony was born in the United States because his parents migrated there in 1960. They worked for the airline, so they were able to get a job, whatever. They immigrated over there because of jobs or whatever. But he was born over there, but he always came to El Salvador, and so he's also an Army veteran, and very, very assimilated into American culture. So we get along really well. You know what I mean?
Awesome. You can relate.
We understand each other, and I never knew that Salvadorian beans were regarded as Salvadorian caviar. That he told me.
Oh, really?
We gotta have some Salvadorian caviar. So I got to meet Facts. What a guy, great guy, man.
Yeah, he's fun.
He's so anxious to move to El Salvador.
Oh yeah.
He was doing push-ups or whatever. I think I'm gonna join him. You know what I mean? Because I haven't done push-ups in a while. Robbie was doing his rhymes.
Yep. I want to get Robbie on the podcast. Robbie, we missed the last one, but we're gonna resync on that.
So what I did is this is before the golf tournament party started. I got a party bus, and we went all around El Salvador. You know, there's me golfing.
Yes, living the dream. That was a beautiful day.
You know, to golf in El Salvador is expensive for the locals there. So that was to me, you know, playing golf in El Salvador was just surreal, and it's a dream come true. There's my boy right there, Puncher 72. I play with him, and a great guy, man. Just the he's also a veteran too. So as he said, you know, once the golf thing wasn't working out, you know, we just started drinking beer.
That course. So I don't really play a lot of golf, and I could not have played that course, but I walked it with a buddy of mine played there at the Max and Stacy Invitational. Oh my goodness, that course is no joke. That is hard, crazy.
Let me tell you something. It's very, very, very hard, and it's very intimidating. Super intimidating. You know what I mean? Because it's not an easy course to play. Over here we have the Blue Monster, you know, the famous Blue Monster. It's in Trump Doral. So as a matter of fact, the tournament is going to be here in a couple of months. They finally gave it back to President Trump because remember they had taken it away from him. Yeah. But it was there for a long time, but they took it away on this first term, you know, because he's racist, whatever. But they're gonna start playing it again. And the Blue Monster is one of the hardest courses in the whole United States.
Wow.
So that's why they call it the Blue Monster. So it's very intimidating. I played it a couple times, and
you're teeing off and you can't see the flag, or you have to get over a ravine, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to aim that way. Meanwhile, the trees in the ravine totally psych you out, and you're just like, just got to hit it. And then you'll find the ball later, hopefully. But
and then also too, depending on the wind, because the wind plays a lot. Because sometimes the wind will be kick off really fast. You know what I mean? And it's like, but it's a fun course overall. You know, it's a fun course. I played a lot with Chimbera. You know Chimbera?
No.
It's Roman Martinez he's from Bitcoin Beach.
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
he's also from his real estate company, The Good Life.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Oh,
I
you
met
gotta interview Chimbera. Chimbera's like
Chimbera.
he's one of the first ones. Roman Martinez, and he works with Peterson. Is it Michael Peterson from Bitcoin Beach?
Okay. I'll check in with them. Now, you also, is this where you lost your ball in the rough here? Or tell me about this.
No, I sent you this because this is a lot that I bought. So it was my first piece of land buying in El Salvador.
Oh, very nice.
So I was very proud. You know what I mean? That it's close. It's close. You can see the beach back there.
Yeah.
It's in Surf City. And my first piece of land there, I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I made it.
Oh, you have some land and an apartment.
And I got an apartment at the Wave House, which that was another step. I bought that afterwards. I was like, I couldn't believe it either. But God's been good to me. America's been good to me. You know what I mean? I've managed to do the right things. You know what I mean? And here I am, giving some of it back. You know what I mean, to my friends and Salvadorians.
Awesome.
That's my family right there. That's at the Vatican. My wife, Andres, he's at the bottom. Sergio Jr., and that's me on the right.
Awesome. This was the Vatican?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's St. Peter's Church.
Wow.
So if you look at look at my shirt. I mean, I usually don't dress like that. You know, and
Miami, Florida, Duppies.
It's super bright. So basically, what people started doing, this is my friend's bar, really close to my house, very popular. People started wearing their shirts like, at the China Wall or whatever, different places or whatever. And then I told them, hey man, I'm going to Italy. You know what I mean? Give me a shirt and I'll take a picture inside of the church. You know what I mean? And the Vatican. It's like, okay, here we go. Let me tell you something. I mean, people were just looking at me because it's like really bright green. You know what I mean? I said, what the hell is this guy doing wearing that shirt there? But I took the picture and I became famous. You know, they got to put up there in the restaurant there. You know, me wearing his shirt.
That's awesome. Bring Facts says you can hire him sometime. He'll take care of your pool there at the Wave House. No, that it's that I've been there. That is this the patio where we had a get together? Maybe?
On the fourth floor. Up there, all the way up there. Yeah, it's a beautiful structure. Really, really
beautiful. Nice. I loved it there. Tell me about this picture. Looks like a lobbyist.
Well, this was the last campaign for President Trump. I'm here in Jupiter.
Oh, okay.
And then I had a chance to meet President Trump's daughter. This is before she got married.
Oh, it's Trump's daughter. Okay, I was like, who is that?
Yeah, that's Tiffany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got to meet Tiffany. And let me tell you something. She's very soft-spoken. You know, she barely says anything. But when she talks, very professional. She's great talker. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people, they'll try to criticize her or whatever, but she's very smart. She's very, yeah.
Imagine having your dad's a real estate tycoon, businessman in the media, becomes president, all the drama and the craziness.
Right.
I don't know what I would do, but I mean, that, it takes a special personality to be part of that game. So, yeah.
Who else was here? Kimberly was there. Kimberly, Don's ex-girlfriend was there too. Let me see who else. I think we had a couple of politicians, but I can't really remember. But it was in Jupiter. Really nice house right there on the intercoastal. But just showing you, you know what I mean, that if you work hard in the United States, if you believe in yourself, if you don't look at your skin color, you can go far in life here in the United States. You know, that's what I try to tell people.
Yeah.
And I often get criticized by the Salvadorians on there, telling me, you know what I mean, that I'm trying to be American, or they say like, oh, you know, what you go do after you met her? Go clean the bathrooms? I'm like, nah. And they're like, hey, why don't you go clean some toilets? I did that already. I did that in the army.
Been there.
I did that in the army when nobody wanted to clean the toilets. I said, you know what, I'm going to clean them. And they're going to be like, you're going to be able to eat off of them. You know what I mean? After that or whatever. So yeah. I've done all that. You know what I mean? It's like I managed to step up. You know what I mean? As you know what I mean? And
I was a janitor once myself. I had a very humble job years ago, and you start somewhere. So
we all had. I mean, like, listen, what was before? I don't know who I was talking to. Maybe it was JV. I go JV back in the days. Remember, you would go to McDonald's, Burger King, or whatever, one of those restaurants. You work there a couple of years. Then you go to college. You have a job there. Work through college or whatever, and then. You would step up, but these jobs that like Taco Bell or whatever, there was nothing wrong with working at Taco Bell. I worked at it was a version of Taco Bell here in Miami, but we all did it. I mean, most of my friends we worked at being white, black, or Hispanic. With that was the thing to do. You know what I mean? You had your job on the weekends. You know what I mean? Doing something. You know what I mean?
You probably. Whatever. Yeah, and there's lessons to be learned here that we want to talk about too that I alluded to, but that having seen what happened in El Salvador, the civil war, the gang warfare, and where it's come now, and then you can juxtapose that with in America where we have such opportunity and potential and tools at our hand, but kids don't have a sense of purpose. They feel left behind. There's a real addiction to kind of identity politics or victimhood, or, if you can be a victim, you have some stature or you're special in some way. You want to have purpose, but you want to be special, and yet you feel left behind. So there's this infected culture of kids or youth or even adults that just get stuck there, I guess. And what I like to tell people is like, unstuck yourself, go do stuff. Like, right. I mean, you're not being conformist. You're not like selling out. You are being a productive person. Do what you want to do, but you got to start somewhere. So,
it's amazing how well, I guess I should say, how good of a job they've done to get us here. You know what I mean? Especially the one that it was Obama, the one that politicized everything. Everything's political. White milk is racist. This is racist, whatever. Uh-huh. But it's amazing how many people have bought into this, and people that I know, educated people, smart people that I know, older people that I know that can't see through the smoke of the Bad Bunny halftime thing. There's
sure.
nothing about Bad Bunny. There's nothing about Puerto Rico. There's nothing about the Spanish language. It's like, you did it on purpose. It was the intention that we didn't like. Yes, and out of the criticizing the intention, the word Bad Bunny comes in there or whatever. And I've seen like, I'm not even gonna say their names, but they're like, I'm like the Americans are against Puerto Rico, against the Hispanics,
right?
I'm like, man, you don't. I mean, like, why would he say, when he said, hey, learn Spanish, I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that, but why don't you say it differently? Hey, my American family, learn a little bit of Spanish, because there's going to be a little bit of Spanish, rhythm in there. You know what I'm saying? And we're all going to have fun. I'm going to make it fun. I know you guys. If he would have done that, you know what? It would have been a great. But no, it was division from the get-go. It was always division. It was always division. It was always division. And I can't believe, like, some of my friends, Hispanic friends, whatever, think that, it's about, our culture, our Spanish, or whatever. I'm like, personally, I don't like the guy. You know what I mean? It's like, the guy, I mean, whatever. I like
not my style, but
I like one song, but whatever. You know what I mean? But everything in there was like, it was just like straight up, political. I mean, like, two guys humping on each other.
I saw that.
There's a big sign that says "We accept EBT." I'm like, I can't relate to these people because I came to the United States. It was a different time. We didn't get any handouts. You know, now there's like more than 50% of Hispanics on welfare. We never got anything. We didn't want anything. We just wanted. We were grateful just being here. You know, my parents in Miami when we came here was 95% white, literally. You had to know English. If you didn't know English, you were screwed. So what? My parents went to night school to learn English. That's what you did. You know what I mean? I had to learn.
You wanted to be successful.
In 6 months, I knew English. Maybe it wasn't the perfect English, but you know, I was having conversations with my friends and stuff like that. You know what I mean? To back in the days, to make it in Miami was like, man, if you made it in Miami, wow. First of all, it was hard. You know, it was kind of like joining the club. You know what I mean? And if you made it in Miami, you were like, you know, and being said, you know, whether you're a doctor or lawyer or whatever, you know, it was like the thing to do, and that's what I strive for. You know what I mean? To wow, you know, I'm gonna make it in Miami one day. You know what I mean? Because you know, it was the thing to do at that time. You know what I mean? To be successful in Miami, whether you were a businessman or you know, a nurse or you know, a doctor or whatever, and I can truly say that I've made it in Miami. And
what did you do when you were out of the Army or in the reserves? What did you start doing for business? If you want to share your business.
No. I mean, like I said, I mean, my goal was always to go to college. I mean, I went to college, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. You went to the International University in Florida.
Florida University, yeah. You know, I got the GI Bill. I went to college, and well, I went to community college first, and then. You know, once you graduated there, they automatically accept you there in FIU. And then I graduated, and then I started working for John Hancock, you know, selling long-term care insurance mutual funds. And then I went to MetLife, and I had a jewelry business. I was buying gold at $275 an ounce. Can you believe that?
Crazy to think about, yeah.
$275 an ounce. and then I started my another business, which was it's what I do now. Is I'm an insurance adjuster, a private insurance adjuster. So you know it's been a good run. You know, I mean, I threw myself to the wolves. You know, I was a very shy person. I hated the phone. So when I went to John Hancock, I had to make 200 cold calls every day. So right now I can call anyone. I can call the president if you want me to cold call him. You know.
Now you know how to talk to people.
Yeah, I mean, before I was even afraid to call customer service. I was like, what am I gonna tell them? I mean, like, oh, you know, like they're gonna get mad at me. You know, it's just
yeah.
But I knew if I wanted to become successful the way that I wanted to become successful, I would have to go through that. And then, you know, that was started with the Army, and then it started, you know, with John Hancock, which, by the way, John Hancock was a boiler room.
Oh, yeah.
It was a boiler room. Yeah, it was a boiler
room. Calls trying to get people to buy insurance or whatever.
But it was a boiler room. I mean, it was a fast life. I mean, like, these guys are like, you know, they're doing drugs every day.
Oh, they're cocaine.
They're going to the strip club every day. That wasn't me. I never, but they were like, you know, they're coming home at 3 a.m, and we had 7 o'clock morning meeting. You know what I mean? A training meeting, and you had to be there on time, because if you weren't there on time, then you were, you know, a wussy. You know what I mean? I mean that's how it was. You know what I mean? Back in the days, and you know, I see these kids now, because I mean, you know,
the work ethic.
Or nothing was easy for us back in the days. Nothing for, you know, it was like, you know, especially for Salvadorians, you just ran with it. You know what I mean? It was just, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? You always say, like, oh, someone's having it worse than you are. So just suck it up and keep going. Oh, you know, I forgot to tell you that when the war started, we got sent to Guatemala.
Oh.
That my parents sent my sisters and me to Guatemala, you know, to live over there and to go to school, because she was afraid, you know, because the war was just heating up or whatever. And we were sent out there, you know what I mean? And so I just want to say this. I think it's funny. There was while in Guatemala, I used to get 30 quetzales, which is, let's say, $30 whatever a month to eat or whatever. That was, you know, that was my allowance. And there was a place that sold watches, and these were nice watches. I remember. It's like it was just a little house, with 4 watches there. They had them there, and there were 30 quetzales. I was like, oh my god, that's
a month's salary.
That's my salary, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit. And like, it's like, well, I can't do that, because I gotta eat. You know what I mean? I need my money, so I would always go there. And then I was like, well, maybe if I save like maybe 5 quetzales every month or whatever, I'll eventually get it. It's like, no, but I want it now, whatever. So anyways, fast forward, and that always stuck with me. I always said, had I sacrificed, maybe I'd be more successful. Maybe, I'd be more ahead in life or whatever. And so fast forward, I'm talking to my I had a therapist, with she we had a marriage counseling with her, but she was also a therapist. I said, look, I want to talk to you because I want to talk to you about some things. Maybe we can work them out. Mm-hmm. So then I tell her, I tell her the story. They sent us over there to Guatemala or whatever, and the same thing. Because I told her, look, I think I could be a little bit more disciplined, okay? So can we work on my discipline? Mm-hmm. And it's like, so I say, you know what? I think if I would have done it, if I would have saved the money and bought the watch, I would have had more discipline. You know what I mean? And after I finished telling her the whole story, she grabs her glasses, reading glasses, with her pen, and she just drops it on the notebook. And she looks at me, and she's like, Sergio. And she's like, she's a lady, and rest in peace, man. She died. She died of cancer. God, she was great. She was like, you were in fucking survival mode. How were you going to think about discipline at that time? You were fucking surviving. Where were your parents? Where were you? You were fucking like 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
You're lucky nothing happened to you.
Yeah.
You're lucky, you weren't molested or abducted or whatever.
Yeah, you were very vulnerable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were just fucking surviving, and that little money they gave you, that was like your fucking escape to buy some candy or whatever, or some tacos on the side of the road. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I just thought that was like, it was enlightening, because I was like, I always thought that because sometimes you're hard on yourself, And,
sure.
She was able to put me on my seat,
Yeah, and you're a kid, and you you have perspective now on it. It's hard to work through that stuff. Trauma is trauma.
Yeah.
And we bury stuff down just to survive. We bury stuff down deep, and then sometimes you see symptoms of it in your life, and you're like, what is that from? And like through counseling or therapy, sometimes you can come to know thyself. You come to learn yourself better. You've come to know yourself and put yourself out there and be very vocal, start business, do all this stuff. And but things like that can be very enlightening. Like, oh wow, you could go back there now, visit that place, or I don't know. You could buy all the watches. Yeah, buy all their watches and be like, tell them your story. You survived. You survived, and you had the values and the work ethic and the family and the support and the grace of where you landed in the United States.
Yeah,
to make yourself. So
exactly, yeah, and anybody can do it. I mean, like, and I think that opportunity is coming forward to Salvadorians, in El Salvador. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to teach them that they need to learn English, and they need to learn a conversational English. And then to only do business with Salvadorians from the United States and expats, you know what I mean? Because we have the money, and we want to help you out, but we want to see you that you're trying to help yourself. But independent of that, that's the fastest way, in my opinion, for them to become successful, at anything. I mean, look at my friend Napo from BitDriver. You know what I mean? He just went all in. You know what I mean? He just like, he was one step coming to the United States. Started walking towards the because it was after COVID, They fired him. Obviously, they didn't have a job at the bank, and he was like, he had 2 kids. It's like, what am I going to do? And then Bitcoin came around, and he had a little bit of a peak or whatever interest, and he just went all in. And look at him now, man. I'm so proud of him. He has, I don't know how many drivers he has, but he's always busy. You know what I mean? He's a great guy. You know what I mean? He got back together with his wife.
Oh,
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you because
get your life together. Yeah.
I told him, just work it out, man. You guys have kids. I mean, just and so I was really happy with it for him. But he's a good friend. And then there's a lot of Salvadorian stories like that, and it's hard, man. It's hard because they've been conditioned for such a long time that it's hard for them to come out of that shell. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So it's going to take some time, but the ones that do get it, you know what I mean? I'm really, and we're helping them. We're helping right now. One of the number one golfers in El Salvador. His name is Wilbur Chimbera. There's a lot of people that they don't want to be named, so I'm not going to name them.
Okay.
They're helping. They're helping huge, and this is a kid that they put him in a technical school at 6th grade, but that technical school was infested with gang members. So the gang members told him, "Look, it's either the gang life or you get out of here." And his parents just took him out, and he just went to go work the fields with his dad, growing corn and beans. And but his dad would caddy on the weekend. His dad did that for a long time, on weekends, and eventually brought him in when he was 18, and the rest is history. He started working there. People took a liking to him. They started teaching him. He's a caddy there now, and
there's some work ethic too. Those caddies hustle like a hot, sweaty day, and they're running, and they're all over it. Yeah.
Yeah. Last caddy that we had with my friend Kevin. Kevin gave him a nice tip. You know what I mean? And what I gave him was the rangefinder, the ball rangefinder.
Oh yeah.
Because he was with his cell phone, looking at it, and then I looked up the rangefinder. I was like, it cost me $70. I'm like, I can just get another one, and I know. I mean, I told him to go here, and he was like, no. I mean, he almost cried. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, seriously, no. That's I go this year too. She could make more money, man. You know what I mean? And,
nice.
It's a tool for you to make more money, and. So, whenever I go over there, I try to help people like that. You know what I mean? The lady selling water, I give her $5 or whatever. You know what I mean? And the extra tip for the waiters. We tip 20% here, which some of these waiters don't even deserve that. And over there, you're just tipping 10%. You know what I mean? Give a little bit more. And I know you guys do. I'm talking to my people, because there was a time Salvadorians from here used to go over there, and they used to put $2 tips. I'm like, really? I'm like, you're tipping $2 to the person that needs it the most? You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, things are cheap here, but man, I mean, don't treat the people like that.
Yeah, I always try to tip. When I was down there, I would tip generously, and it, just 20% would be like, maybe I would think kind of normal when it's good and decent, but for them it really matters. Like they're working for that, they need that, and with El Salvador coming back up and getting, it's quite secure and stable now. There's a lot of business and growth happening, development, construction all over the place. And so El Salvadorans that have left can start to feel safe and better about coming back, getting some land, moving their business, having family. Yeah. You're growing some new roots, friends and family back in El Salvador again.
Yes.
And all of that is so good for the country, to not have lost a generation, but to have people coming back and growing and living there again.
Yeah, well, President Bukele's father always said that the people that were going to help rebuild El Salvador was going to be us. The expats, the people that left El Salvador, and then they were going to come back and help them, build the country back up, and that's what we're doing, right now. And
awesome.
We're proud. You know what I mean? After 30 years of just, you say I'm Salvadorian, and the first thing that would come out of the house, out of the mouth, was MS-13. You didn't want to say that you were Salvadorian because it was like MS-13, MS-13. I'm like, man, we're bigger than that. You know what I mean? We're better than that. And so it's something special for us. You know what I mean? That we can be proud of El Salvador. And we
It's
have
amazing to see.
president.
Yeah, the Bukele is amazing. The country is amazing. The people, every person I met, all walks of life, humble, beautiful, kind, hardworking, proud of their country, proud of their president, and they're happy to have security, and they know what it takes to survive and to live and prosper. I loved it, and yeah, I just imagined living there. I was like, oh man, this country is up and coming. But then when I told people, like whether it might be at work or family or other people, I'm going to go to El Salvador. I'm going to go visit El Salvador. It's a Bitcoin thing, and a lot of people are like, El Salvador, like, is that safe? Aren't there gangs and all this stuff? I'm like, not anymore. It has changed drastically. It's amazing.
Yeah, like I told you, I would always come back every 4 years. I never saw any gang, with the whole tattoos or whatever, because they always hung around in the shanty towns. You know what I mean? That's where they hang out.
Outskirts, yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't go in those areas. And then my town was spared because they tried to organize. And I asked my uncle, I go, how come the MS-13 didn't come to our town? Because we have a pretty big town and it's grown a lot. And we have some of the best fiestas there. I mean, we have a lot of people that come over, they bust them in. I mean, the last time I was there, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, it was 3 times the size when I used to go. And then he told me, well, there's only 2 entrances to the city. There's an entrance, over there, and then there's an entrance in the back. I was like, yeah, oh, you're right. He's like, yeah, so anybody that goes in there, like, it's a small town, like in Italy, the mafia, everybody knows who's there in a little small town or whatever. So, hey, sweet Biddy.
We love you, Sergio.
Pink one for you. I got a new pink hat for you.
A new pink hat.
So basically, when they would try to organize, the locals would, take care of them, And,
awesome.
Yeah, you would, because it's a very small town that takes care of itself, and it's very hardworking. I have one more story about the town.
Yeah.
There's this couple, Salvadorians they lived in Los Angeles, and they had come back to the town, to live. So they rented a house, but every day it was just like partying, drinking, and in El Salvador, that's not, you drink at night in the afternoon, maybe a beer, for lunch or whatever, or in the weekends or whatever. But drinking like during the weekday, in the mornings or in the afternoon, that's like, it's looked down upon. So they would have parties every day. They just them drinking Coronas the whole day, the whole day just drink, whatever, and bottles of beers or whatever, music and stuff. And then I was talking to my aunt. I go, hey, what happened to the couple over there? And the gossip in the towns, it's always good. What happened to the couple over there?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you know what? It's like me and my sisters and a lot of the ladies of the town or whatever, older ladies, whatever, they just went over there and just started like waiting on them. They're like, this is a small town. We work here, okay? If you want to do what you're doing, you do it on the weekend. But Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you work. We don't do this here in the town or whatever.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And if you're not gonna drink on the weekends, you got to get out of here. You got to leave because we're gonna make your life miserable. And they left.
Interesting. We're not gonna put up with these loungers around here.
It's
you got to work.
It's an agricultural a town. Very very hard workers. You know what I mean? Yes, we do drink, but we drink on weekends. We start Friday nights or whatever, but we don't during the morning time. That's like, I don't know, it's
productive time.
That's a sin, especially like in a small town. The only people that drink in the morning are the drunks. The local drunks or whatever. That they go in binges or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, and even if you can like manage that sometimes or whatever, it's that slippery slope for people. You fall into that rut. The Bitcoin hardware store is here giving you props, and we saw a picture at the Bitcoin hardware store recently of Shakira coming to visit.
Ronnie, the OG. That you can't get
Is
in.
this Roddy?
Ronnie, you can't get another more bohemian guy than Ronnie.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah.
Fits right in. Yeah. So there's a picture with him and Shakira in front of the store. Apparently, she's a Bitcoiner,
Hey,
and
Ronnie, we have to make a reggae festival in El Salvador.
oh yeah,
I wanna do
hey,
a reggae festival in El Salvador. Who's up? Who's down for a reggae festival? I think it needs it. You know, in El Sante,
yeah.
5 and stuff like that. So
El
you know,
Salvador is open for business. If Shakira can have a concert here, hey, we can. You can do anything. So hey,
yeah, I mean, I just take my big speaker and my cell phone. That's it. You know, have a party.
awesome.
So yeah, no. I mean, it's great what's happening over there. You know, my friend Brandon, I was
Yeah,
after him so he can move over there because I go, Brandon, you're not doing nothing in the United States. You're just like waking up, you're doing tattoos, you're going to the bar. You know, it's like you know, it's just you know, I've been able to stay at home a lot because you know my business went down because they passed some bad laws against us. So you know, I'm restructuring myself, I'm reinventing myself. So you have a lot of time to think that we don't have it.
yeah.
And, you know, and to sit down and
There's
just
Ronnie.
you know, yes, I am for the there we go.
Yeah,
Dude, but I want you to sing a little bit too, man. All right, we'll put some
yeah. Let's hear you sing, man.
Ronnie.
Yeah.
So
Get up some good old tunes and some new ones.
no, so you know, basically we're in this hamster wheel here in the United States.
Uh-huh.
You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
people have to not get in a rut. Don't be stuck. Don't hang on to old stuff. Move forward, reinvent yourself. You steadily know thyself and be aligned with your compass, your purpose, your values as you've done, which is it's
yeah,
an impressive story.
so Brandon, you're only 34 years old. You know, you can afford to do this. You know, just go to El Salvador. Hey, listen, and after 2 to 3 years, thanks, but no, thank you. I'm going back to okay, but you didn't really lose anything. You know, you gained more. But you know, he did want to come, but I was trying to hurry him, and he finally did it. And man, the guy's like in Disney World over there. Now he has a little Salvadorian señorita, and you know he's engaged.
Nice.
You know what I mean, so I got 2 boys already engaged, and now I got to get I got to get Fax engaged. Let me see. Yeah, no, we got to get him you know, Salvadorian, yeah, Fax, and let me see. JV, I don't know, JV's the hookup meister because
you know, there's a time and a place for that in your life. There's also a time and a place where not that you want to say you're settling down, but you grow up too. So there's a time and a place to have the wife and kids and take on that responsibility.
I think for anybody young, you know what I mean, that's in their 20s or early 30s, I mean, you know, go to I don't know, go to Argentina, live there for a year, you know what I mean, and you can always come back or whatever, just get that experience, you know what I mean, and then, because your outlook in life is going to be different, and I think that's what happened with me in the army. My outlook was different in the army,
Uh-huh.
you know, and so and then you decide how you're going to live your life, you know what I mean, and how hard you're going to work, whether you're going to work smart or hard, you know what I mean? And obviously you want to work smart, you know, so.
And you've got some perspective. You've left the nest, you've seen the world a little bit, spread your wings. Yeah. And then come back home or come back to what you know, but you've seen the world a little bit. And
yeah, I think it's important to make these trips. You know, I went to China. Every time you like, you know, I'm in China, I'm like, man, there's another world here than just my little world over there, you know, in Miami, you know what I mean? I'm like, look at this, whatever, you know what I mean? So your perspective just changes, you know, you just become a different person, and you become a better person, I think, you know? So,
totally.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, so I'm hopefully I'll be in El Salvador soon, you know, I still have 2 kids and one in high school, one in junior high, but
life's busy.
But it was always my goal and my dream to retire in El Salvador part of the time. You know what I mean? Because
Uh-huh.
you know, I'm American. I can't live, just go over there. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. Hang out in Surf City, Bitcoin Beach, El Zonte, all the things.
and it was always my dream to retire young too. So if I retire young, I'll be there soon, guys. We'll see. We'll see.
Awesome.
You got to study. You got to study. Okay.
Yeah. Proof of work. You got to have your proof of work there.
Yeah. And then where's hold on one second. Let me do something here. Wait. Come on, Bitcoin. Do something, Bitcoin. Come on, man. Let's go. Let's go, man. Come on. Jeez, right?
Whack it with the club. Maybe you need a driver.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. It's coming. I just will say paper Bitcoin burns, lettuce hands, lettuce and wilt. Bitcoin cannot be ignored, and it's inevitable. It's coming.
We've been here before, and I think we got a little bit too comfortable. You know what I mean? After the last ride, you know what I mean? We forgot that there is some volatility. You know what I mean? In
Sure.
Bitcoin. And I thought it was good. I thought it was good. You know what I mean? I thought it was good because, I have some loans, and when you get the loans, you just think that the price is going to go up, but
Yeah.
you don't think about the price coming down. So I think the whole space has learned about the loans or whatever. I think that the loan business is going to get better.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? It's going to be I guess better developed. I don't know if those are the words or whatever, but people are gonna think twice if you're gonna get a loan. You know what I mean? Or just
leverage is dangerous, folks.
Yeah, it is. I can tell you this. I can tell you that. But
65.
But like I said, maybe instead of getting like the whole chunk, get little chunks here and there or whatever. You know what I mean?
Stay humble and stacked. Yeah, time preference.
Exactly.
It's a correction that serves to galvanize why you Bitcoin and not to play too many games. Stay within your means, and also it's good for Bitcoin. It's hopefully Bitcoin defines itself not as some tech trade security, whatever, but that it's truly a commodity and the best money you can have. It's the hardest property you can hold, and so time will prove itself.
And the loan industry is going to be important because eventually that's how you're going to cash flow, right? I mean, when you never sell your Bitcoin, you loan it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it needs to. I don't say it needs to get better. It's just I guess we have to learn from what we just went through and make it better, make it more ideal, whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean it's part of the strategy, right? Mm-hmm. Because I mean, now you're gonna have to sell the Bitcoin, So, oops.
I thought you fell down.
Yeah.
I was arguing with a lot of Bitcoiners because I'm like, okay, so when do you sell the Bitcoin? You don't sell it. You take so what do you do with it? You know what I mean? And the only reason why I say just to challenge them or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's a fair question. I mean, I remember even with silver, they're like, "Oh, you never sell your silver." I'm like, "Well, why am I? When am I going to enjoy it? What do I do with it?"
Right.
And I finally learned the answer when they told me, "Oh, you just loan against it," and I learned about the whole loan industry or whatever. But
yeah, it's moving from weak hands to strong hands, and we still have a very good, hopeful, bright future ahead of us. So,
I think so. Yeah.
I want to bring people to where they can find you again. They can go to. You can find Sergio Bermudez.
No, Martez is better.
Martez 305. You can find him there. Great feed, lots of good based content there, and your shop. Go to bitcoincaps.net. He's got a lot of cool merchandise you've designed, and
these aren't yet. I got to put them in today, but these are beautiful. Look at these. It's nice, huh?
Oh, let me look at that again here. So
I'm gonna send you this one.
Awesome.
This is the one you want, right?
I love it. Yeah, I love that. It's awesome with the fringe there and all that. Sergio, this has been amazing. I really appreciate the time you've given me here, the stories you told. We started out with some, the scary tragedy piece of it, you as a kid, your growth and adventures, and coming full circle back around, the perspective you have. It's an amazing journey, and I really loved hearing about your story, man. I really appreciated the time you gave me.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you asking me to come on your podcast, and I appreciate you coming up with the idea to talk about my life. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, a lot of people hear things about El Salvador, how it was or whatever, but they don't know little details in there. You know what I mean? And
I heard about you from Bring Facts and Robbie and others that were out with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta, and then I saw your feed as well and the stories you were telling. And I was like, I gotta reach out to you because I want to hear these. These are worth sharing here. So
yeah. Especially the Centro Histórico. A lot of people don't talk about that, but that was, and I hope we don't forget about, what happened, how the Civil War started, because, there's a lot of us that lived through that, you know what I mean? And just, we feel that, sometimes it's being forgotten, you know what I mean? And by that, then there's the other side of the gangs too, you know what I mean? That I don't know what those people went through, but like I said, we come a long way, and it's part of the history,
Yeah. Comparing this and what happened and the scary times to today, Centro Historico. It's beautiful.
It's amazing. It's like,
yeah. So if you haven't been to El Salvador, go visit. It's a beautiful place. There's so much opportunity and growth happening. It's safe and stable. The president is the best you could hope for. And I appreciate everything you did for Bukele. Heck, Ron Paul, Trump. You have just been in it early, even while El Salvador was still not stable or safe entirely.
Yeah.
You were in early, pushing for the right purpose.
Exactly. And then just one more thing, Centro Histórico. It was President Bukele as a mayor that revitalized that area.
Right.
So he had the reason why he was so popular, because he came with those receipts. You know what I mean? Saying like, look, this is what I can do, and he did it. He did it in less than a year.
Yeah.
So that's just to let you guys know that, and that was his vision. You know what I mean? To make it look like a city in Europe. So that's why you see the little, all the swag, all the so it's nice, man. Me going there as a kid was like, wow. It was wow. It's people on top of each other. It was just like, wow. It was just a lot of mayhem there. You know what I mean? No order or whatever. Just people doing whatever they wanted or whatever. You know what I mean? But not now. You look at it, I'm like, wow. Actually, before that church in the back, which is the Calvary Church, you couldn't even see it because there was just so much stuff around it. I don't know if you.
This one here.
No, that's the cathedral.
Oh, okay.
So it's called Calvary Church. Maybe let me see. It's bad. Let me see. It's in the back. No, it's you won't see it through here. Let me see statue. You want to put just leave it there and put Calvary.
Oh, Calvary.
Yeah, let me see what that comes up.
Well, it's got the horse. It's a church, though, right?
Yeah, is it Calvary Church? Put church in the back. Yeah, church. Mm-hmm. No, it's it would be in the other side. It's a very beautiful church. That's it right there. Yeah, that's
that one.
Yeah.
Maybe we can find that here if it'll bring it up. Hopefully. Oh, hello. Where'd it go? This one?
No. It's gray. It's gray. Yeah, right there.
Well, anyway. Oh, here's some more pictures there.
Yeah.
So that's an old church, huh?
Yeah, it's right behind, it's really close. It's like maybe like 3 minutes away from Centro Histórico. So anyway, that church you couldn't see it because there were just crap all over it. You know, people selling stuff or whatever. On the side of the church, they would sell black magic stuff.
Huh.
On the side, can you imagine? You know, that's how much there wasn't any order during that time. But anyway, I just wanted to make the point that that's where President Bukele, that's where he became popular because he revitalized that. You know, he put all the electrical cords or whatever underneath ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was made fun. They mocked him. You know,
yeah, because he promised to do it quick, and people are like, "Oh yeah, right," but he got it done quickly.
As one more, can I give you one more story? My cousin met with him because he used to work for the electrical company that did that actual the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
So he's telling me, you know, he's like, you know, I sat down with him, you know, when he was a mayor with my boss, it's the lady, right? And he's like, it was the funniest thing because, you know, he's Palestine. So we regard him as Arab, you know, he's an Arab, you know what I mean? And, you know, Arabs are tough to do business, you know, and especially in Latin American countries. And she's like, and my boss, she's Arab too. I think she was Palestinian too. So it was like the most funniest thing because they're like negotiating with each other, you know, and President Bukele, you know, he just wants a lot of stuff for free, you know what I mean? He's just he's a negotiator, you know?
Uh-huh.
And, you know, and she's like, I can't do that, you know, come on, you know, yes, and they're just going back, you know, and then my cousin he just stops. He's like, it's like, Mayor, it's like, why don't you have the people pay for it? You know, with the taxes, you know, the taxes can pay for that. And he just looked at him. He's like, yeah, you know, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. All right. But he said, you know, we were talking with him, you know, and he would space out sometimes. He would be like, you know, when he was talking about the whole lighting and whatever, you know, I want the Centro Histórico to look like a city. I don't know where it was, in Switzerland or whatever. You know, I've been to Switzerland.
Right.
I've been to Switzerland, and I kind of want it to look like that. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, what a, you know, that's a pretty cool story. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Having a vision and a dream, and then you've got a team of, say, civil engineers or whatever, contractors, an engineering team, and you say, how long would it take to do this? And they're like, a year. And you say, you got 2 months.
You got 2 months, exactly.
And they're like, okay. Or, you know.
Well, look at the jail. The jail was 6 months.
Wow.
So the jail was 6 months. Yeah. And you know, and he doesn't cut corners either. Everything, especially for the public, has to be first class. It's not like, you know, okay, we're gonna save here or whatever. You know what I mean? If you look at his buildings, anything that he's done for the public, everything's first class. You know what I mean? So, and because no one's stealing the money, you know. So
right, just getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse is part of the problem. There's that in government. So if you can cut that out of the way, suddenly it's like, oh, your money's better. Wow, unbelievable.
Exactly. I talk too much. I'm sorry, but
oh, it's good. This is all great. I love it. Where
in the country are you?
Oh, I'm in Oregon, in the state. In the United States.
Well, man,
Oregon, the whole West Coast. There's some special states on this West Coast: Washington, Oregon, and California. We're all so special.
Wait a second. I forgot to tell you. I lived in Washington State for a year.
Oh, really? Cool.
I was in Fort Lewis.
Oh yeah, right along the interstate there. Drive right by.
And so I served there during the grunge scene. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. When Nirvana, all those guys. You know,
oh man, that's where it started. Yeah,
that's where it started. Yeah.
Yeah, Nirvana came right out of kind of outside of Olympia, and then hit the scene in Seattle. But wow, crazy to think about.
Yeah. Spoon and also too Soundgarden, all those guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a nice time. Really nice people there, man. And Washington State's green, beautiful.
Yeah, I lived in Seattle in the mid to late '90s, and
Yeah,
it was happening.
that was a currency. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's yeah. There were good times. If you're Gen X, there was some growing up, at least in America. I mean, you had your journey and craziness, but in America as a kid growing up in the '80s, hitting young adulthood in the '90s, it was
No, I mean, dude,
a
what are you
booming
talking about?
time.
Me and you, man, we lived the dream. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
an '80s kid. I'm all '80s. I mean,
yeah,
like I'm all
yeah.
'80s. I mean, I just remember, Donald Trump. He was an American icon. We didn't hate
Right.
him. We didn't hate him. We didn't.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I wanted to be like Donald Trump. I was like, you know what? Maybe one day you'll see a helicopter that says Bermudez, running around, Miami or whatever, But that's why we drink like that. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I didn't get there, but shit, at least I got a little piece of the pie. You know what I mean? But that's how we rolled. You know what I mean? '80s was like, wow,
Yeah.
it was special. I mean, '90s too, and I think even you can argue 2000. That was like maybe the last, and then after that, just
Yeah, the country came together there. Not that I'm for war or what those wars were about, but after the 9/11, 2001 attacks, the country did come together for a while. And, things got political about the nature of the wars we were in, but we've lost a lot about, I remember a time when, I mean, largely it's like uh, loving America, being proud of America.
yeah.
America represented many, many good things. Granted, America has its history, but I would like the new generations coming up to rekindle that, remember that, make America great again, basically culturally. But I mean, not just economically, but hopefully things start with the money, but trickles into culture and kids coming up in the world who have a purpose, who want to go out there and do things and don't feel like a victim. So,
I mean, America's the last dance. I mean, like, where do we go from here? If we lose this,
it's important.
I mean, these kids are like, not all of them, but like they're so ungrateful. You know what I mean? They don't know what they have. And a lot of the people here, they can't even compare. What's a third world country and what's a first world country? You know what I mean? What they have here. These communists or whatever, carrying around their iPhones,
Lattes and iPhones while they want free stuff. Yeah.
Riding in a Tesla or whatever. I'm like, really? I mean, and like I'm an '80s kid. I remember, standing up for the flag, a moment of silence. We always said the what you call it,
sing the national anthem, and we would pledge allegiance in the morning at school.
The Pledge of Allegiance. I'm sorry, the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance is, the flag was there. And then I was blessed. I think you too. You were that who taught us. Our teachers were the greatest generation.
Mm-hmm.
Those were my teachers. I grew up with them telling me, you know what I mean. Keep your word. Don't lie. You know what I mean. If you're gonna say something, do it. You know what I mean. What else? Take pride in what you do. That was a lot.
Yeah.
It was like take pride in what you do. Go to school. Go to college. You know what I mean. And that's how I grew up. You know what I mean. It was the greatest generation. You know what I mean. That were our teachers. For elementary and stuff like that. You know what I mean. And that now that's all gone. You know what I mean. Now they're teaching kids just stupid stuff. You know what I mean.
Oh boy, yeah. I grew up with that too, where you felt hope, you felt pride, you felt like you can be responsible and go out and do things. And nowadays I think kids, a lot of things are like relative, or you're kind of scared to have opinions about things, or don't stick your neck out too far, don't be too proud,
Right.
fit in, or if you don't have a special victimized identity, you're privileged, and all these things. And it's just like, oh boy, just go out there and work and do your best and be a good person and forget the noise. Don't get stuck in identity anything. Just go do stuff.
And don't destroy something that everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to be American. I can tell you that Salvadorians want to be Americans. That I can tell you. That Salvadorians love everything there is about America. Okay, bar none. And then there's other countries too. You know what I mean? Look at Shakira. Shakira is a Latin American singer. Okay, she did really well with the Latin American. And what was her prize? Her prize was to make it in the United States. She started singing in English. That's the ultimate prize, to make it into the United States. So all these Latin people, whatever, talking crap about because this whole Bad Bunny BS or whatever. Come on, man. You like America, okay? Everything that comes out of America is fucking cool. Let's not destroy our culture that we have here. We're not producing music now. We're not producing anything like we did in the 80s. You know what I mean? You have like, what's his name, Ramansky, whatever, telling us that we just get drunk, whatever. Hell yeah, we get drunk like that, but we get creative when we get drunk. So right, it's like that, I got drunk.
There's a time and a place.
Some good ideas have come out of there. We're American. That's who we are. You know what I mean? Don't tell me. You know what I mean? That everything has come up from us. Everything that's cool, whatever. Even Bitcoin. Bitcoin came from America. It didn't come from nowhere else or whatever. So don't destroy what we have. And it's like, you're criticizing the United States. Yeah, you want to come here, right? Why? It's like, why do you want to come to a racist country? We're racist. Don't come over here. We're racist. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's like, I hear people from El Salvador. They're like, oh, they're racist over there against Hispanic. Well, you know what? Nothing's happening to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're like, well, Trump doesn't care about you. I'm like, you're probably right, but you know what? I have safety. I own a house. I make money or whatever. That's all I want. I don't want nothing else from her. I don't want that. What else? What else can he give me? Whatever than what I have now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What else?
It's giving you the opportunities.
Give me the opportunities to make it on my own. You know what I mean? Now, whether I do it or not, it's on me, not on him or whatever.
And I think it's easier in a way emotionally to be, to give into whether it's fear or anger or depression or the FUD and just, it's safe to be negative. It's safe to be cynical. So like stuff goes on in the world, even something good, and you judge it or you're cynical about it. Well, if you end up being wrong, it's like, oh, well, okay, well, then it was good. And if you end up being right, it's like, oh, see, told you. And people get stuck in like this negative view of things. And then the propaganda that's noise that is, fear or anger or uncertainty and whatever, it can be addictive. People get stuck there. And so it's like, cleanse your timeline. But not to say you don't fight for what's right. So.
Yeah, and it's hard, when they're just it's being thrown at you, on TV or whatever, you know what I mean, but whatever, you got to snap out of it, and hopefully we can help those people because I just don't have no time for buffoonery or just like people making excuses or whatever. I'm like, it's like, I mean, like
I have a radar for it now. When people are like that, I'm like, okay, note to self. You want to hang out with good, positive, productive people. And if someone's negative, well, I don't give my time or attention, or I don't rent it in my head. I'm just like, move forward, go out and do something good.
I mean, these new immigrants, they don't know how good they have it. I mean, the road that we paid for them, you know what I mean? It's like, this is Mickey Mouse. This is Disney World, man.
Yeah.
What we went through. And then there was worse people that went through us, that came before. 1991, riding the bus, you know what I mean? My parents had to take off work we had to come to Miami to a certain thing, whatever. Now I get these immigrants. It's like, oh, I don't drive over there. I said, what do you mean you don't drive over there? No, I don't drive over there. Can you come over here? I'm like, man, I was like, it's about, oh my God. You know, just you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't have the patience sometimes, but anyways, that's for another story.
Yeah, and it's a misunderstanding of money too. I think there's a sense that like there's rich people out there, the government's rich or America's rich, or you know, we don't know where the money comes from. Like, oh, they just print it and do things. They don't know where that comes from, and so they just sort of almost expect naturally, like we should have.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah.
Government should just pay for stuff. Why don't you just do stuff? And it's like, okay, we're broke.
Right.
Do you know that?
Exactly. You know what you have is it's like one step of being taken away from us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, like, yeah, they just think like this whole thing is just gonna keep going, this machine or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, like, look at all the fraud that we just found.
Oh,
I mean,
man, it's crazy.
It's insane. But anyways, well, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Bitcoin fixes all this, and we got a hopeful future. I think I'm looking forward to everything coming. So,
America and El Salvador.
America and El Salvador. I want to go back to visit El Salvador again and spend more time again. I will see you down the road, I presume, at whether it's an event somewhere or elsewhere, but we will cross paths, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, I should be there like maybe in 3 weeks or so, or whatever. So somewhere around that time. I go there about often. So yeah. So we'll see each other over there.
Cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll check in with you when I end up down there.
Okay, cool. Take care.
Cool. Thanks for joining me today, man. And
thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. This has been great. So, all right. Bye, everybody.